The Central Club.
What's going on, people? Welcome to the Central Club. This episode is brought to you by the Kinnell Coffee Shop and Sage Precision Hair Care. I want to say a big thank you to our guest for coming on. Bit of a milestone for us. This is the first woman we get on. What a strong woman she is. A poet, a writer, mental health activist, and many of the things she's doing. I'm so happy we got her on. Her name's TalktoCoco on socials. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much, boys, for all having me today.
Pleasure.
No worries. How's your day been so far?
Day's been good, enjoying the sun. Just got over bank holiday, as you know. It's a change for Cardiff, right? To have some sunshine for so many days, so it's been nice.
Yeah, it's been a couple of days nice. I think last week, the beginning of June, it was really bad, the weather. I was thinking, oh my God, if we had our summer already.
I'm telling you.
So it's been a bit good. So thank you for coming on. I really want to just go straight in with everything, really, because I think you've got such a unique story. And a lot of people I've spoken to, especially women, when I've mentioned about getting you on, they've been like, oh, she's perfect, especially for the first one. She's so inspiring, she's unique, and you're just so open about what you believe in and what you do. So if we could just crack straight in, like, so you're obviously Cardiff born. Yeah. How was your upbringing growing up?
So I'm from Grangetown, the area some may get told to avoid, some may love. But yeah, so bringing up, it's myself, my two younger brothers, twin brothers, my mum and dad, always been together, one of the lucky ones, I guess, in this generation. I come from a mixed upbringing, so my dad's Spanish, I must have say that, because if I say white, he'll punch me. My mum's black. Yeah, and being brought up in Grangetown, went to Catholic schools, the ones everyone knows, that kind of thing. And I guess being brought up in a society that's known for, let's say, a certain way. So as we all know, we're all from Cardiff. Grangetown isn't one of the softer sides of Cardiff, let's say.
Most definitely.
So having so many, I guess, difficulties in your head growing up, it was one of those things. So it was a lot of challenging times within the society, within being young and being out in the streets. As you know, back then it wasn't iPads and iPhones. It was you're out with your friends, and obviously comes with that alcohol, smoking, all that kind of stuff. So I guess, I had that normal 90s childhood, if you like. But at the same time, I guess, suffering with mental health, let's just throw it out there, was a difficult time for me growing up because there was nothing out there about mental health other than you're known as crazy. And growing up, my uncle, he was schizophrenic, so a very well-known person of Cardiff. And I guess being one of the first people that I saw out in the open suffering with mental health wasn't a positive thing. What I saw, it was a lot of negative stigma around that. And so instantly it was a thing that I was always sort of ashamed to say or mention to my family or friends. So instantly from a young age, I was labelled as the naughty kid or she's spoiled or that kind of stuff without really looking at why I was going through these things or why I was acting this way. And I think being so suppressed at a young age because of society sort of kick-started my mental health, I guess, to a more negative way. And then I guess, that was it really growing up, I guess, at a young age and recognizing my differences, if you like. And then obviously going to high school, I went to a Catholic high school as well. So that was, again, the religion, that kind of stuff forced on you, being a gay woman at that time, discovering myself and so on. That was another thing that was extremely hard for me because not once was I at conflict with just my mental health. It was also, I know who I am and I can't be who I am for another reason.
Do you know what? That's a really interesting point because when you were saying about religion and then obviously you just said you were gay and stuff like that and you had to come out. At the time, did you feel like you were outcasted? Because obviously at the time you were dealing with mental health, dealing with that situation and dealing with the religious side of things. Where was your head at and how did you feel?
I guess it was a tricky one. So it wasn't something that I was so confident in saying. So I guess I was living a double life, you could call it. So I had a gay community that I could be myself with so many other people that were themselves too. And then it was going to school and pretending that I was this straight person, if you like. And I fancied boys because that's what society tells us we should fancy. And being in a Catholic school and I've got religion thrown down my throat every day, regardless if I wanted to be religion or not. It wasn't a choice that I had. And I felt that my choices were all really constrained. And everything I had to follow. And it was like being squashed into a box. Like, we all don't like seeing a tiger in like a 3-foot cage. It's just not realistic, you know? That was, I feel like, was my teenage childhood, if you like, daily battles with that self. And don't get me wrong, I guess it made me who I am today in so many senses. But at the same time, it was a tough time. And like, I guess being such a popular person too, like I was the popular girl in school and that kind of stuff.
When did you discover, or when in your mind did you think, like, I'm gay? Like, when was that? And like, how was the people around you? Like, were people starting to suss it, or what? Like, what was the situation?
Like the
there?
transition, if
yeah,
you like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. When did you start to feel like that?
Yeah. So I guess with obviously being gay, is something, you know, like how you know you fancy women if you're straight, you know. So it was something I always knew from primary school, as we all do as people, like, do you know what I mean? Oh, you fancy those, you want to chase them in the playground, stupid stuff like that. So it started from a young age. So I always knew I was different, let's say. And then once becoming in high school and everyone starts like exploring each other sexually, etc., that wasn't something I was interested in. However, because of things I had been through in my past, I felt that that's what I needed to do. So, like, being really deep and brutal for anyone listening, might not want to listen for the next 2 minutes, but it was like putting myself being through raped by men, because physically and sexually I didn't want to do any of these things. However, I felt I had to because society told me that. So it wasn't something I was enjoying, or, do you know what I mean? It was one of those things. So it was hard. And I think that pushed me a lot, my mental health, into a more downwards spiral too, because I had to deal with all that. And then you hate yourself for putting yourself through that. So you're sort of on like that roundabout that's not ending until you were able to be free, if you like. So I come out at 14 to close friends. That got spiraled out in school when I wasn't there. So my coming back to school and everyone finding out, if you like, wasn't pleasant at all.
Were you bullied for that?
I wouldn't say I was bullied. So I would say I'm not the kind of person, and I haven't got the personality that I'd allow someone to bully me. However, I was sort of singled out, or I had friends say that, oh, do you fancy me then? And that kind of stuff. Well, no, like, you're not all that for a start. Like, you know, every girl thinks then, yeah, they're chocolate and 10 out of 10s. No, honey. But yeah, it was like teachers I had saying stuff to me, obviously being in a Catholic school, and my mum had to come up to school numerous of times to put these teachers kind of in their place. So yeah, I would say that was the most difficult. However, then in Grangetown and this society I brought up that I was so scared of for mental health reasons embraced me fully, like, oh, amazing, being yourself. Like, so that side of stuff was then, I guess, a plus that come with that.
You say a Catholic school. So what was the reason behind you going to a Catholic school? Obviously, you had your local schools you could have probably went to. And if you had that forced down your throat, was that pressure from family, or was it just a nicer school to go to?
Yeah, I guess down here, there's only so many good schools, if you like. And back then, so I went to a Catholic primary school. And then our like follow-on school from that was obviously a Catholic. So I could have maybe gone to, there was a school like Fitzallen, for instance, that wasn't religious. It's just like for anybody to go to. But I think with all your friends going to the one school and just going where back then it was a bit more, you just go with the high school that's associated with your primary school.
A lot of my friends went to Corpus Christi because you had the Catholic school, the primary up there. Yeah. But there's a lot of them now who go there who are not even really religious.
Exactly.
You know, and they're stopping now with Corpus Christi, I think. They've tried it for years, where they're just, a lot of kids are going there because it's a better school, primary, and moving to the high. And I think they're trying to stop it. But yeah, it's extraordinary to know, or to, you know, find out why you went to that school, definitely. Yeah,
so it was really just because of that. I was like christened Catholic as young, because like, you know, like the family's Catholic, the nan's Catholic, but my family are not religious people. Like if you knew my family, I'd say maybe my nan at Christmas, she'll go to midnight mass, but if you knew my mum and dad, definitely not.
So obviously you went to school, then found out, everyone found out you was gay. How did your family take it? Did your family know beforehand you was gay, or did they have an idea?
Did they had inclinations and stuff?
So yeah, 100%. So when, let's say, if I come out, so I had my first girlfriend, she was my best friend. That's how we tried to portray her, first of all. But then I come out, whatever, I was embracing myself after going through this. So I'm saying at 15 now, year 10. Lol, if she's listening. But yeah, so that was that. And I remember one day we must have went out or whatever. My mum texted us both a really like odd message. And I was like, oh my God, she knows. And I remember us walking home, walking down Havana Bakery, walking to my house. I'll never forget it like it was yesterday. And she's like, oh, she definitely doesn't. How would she know? Like, we're all girls and we're just all best friends, etc. And as I walked in, my mum's like super cool, really open. She's a teacher, by the way. So she opened the door. She was like all smiling, like, hiya. And I was like, hi, like really extra. And she was like, did you get my message? I was like, yeah. And she was like, well.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I don't know what you're on about. And she was like, Sherelle, we all know, it's okay. I was like, I'm not a lesbian. You just run upstairs. So then she come up and she was like, no, like, we're all, like, we accept you for who you are. I just wanted to bring it out because I didn't think you were going to say something like not in a forceful way. And I had like a really, really good reception, if you like. I had like family members texting me, congratulations. I don't know why, but there we are. So yeah, I was one of the lucky ones. That's in that amazing respect. And my mum said like, no matter who I am, what I am, as long as it's obviously a good thing, I'm not doing nothing bad, she'll always support me and my brothers. So yeah, in that respect, like, yeah, good.
That's really good. Like, you know, really. I think some family members can be really hard on their children or their relatives for being gay. So that could kind of lead me on to my next question then. Sure. So what's it like being in the black community and being gay? Do you get portrayed in a certain way for that as well? Because it's like being from, at this time, this day and age, being fired on all cylinders. I'm
telling you, yeah, it's difficult. And I think if you speak to any person of colour that is any LGBTQ plus, community-wise, there is always that stigma still attached to it, obviously with the culture and from back way when, and that being told in a certain light that was wrong. Not as bad, let me just say that. I'd say only about 10% difference for women rather than men. Men have it a lot worse and a lot harder. So in that, and still back in Jamaica, like when we went to Jamaica, we were speaking to people that we knew there that was gay, etc. And they got still, they call them gully queens, and they go down there and they've got their own little society view, like where they still must be so hidden. And it's so sad in the 21st century, we should all be able to just, no one's hurting nobody, do you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. So I think for myself, I still get people look at me. So if we're walking somewhere and I'm walking past maybe like someone I can just tell, I guess, being a person of colour, you know, whether they're African, Jamaican, Muslim, like Somali, like my granddad was Muslim, God bless his soul. So like my nana always said to me, if he was alive, like we don't know how that would have gone.
Went down.
Yeah, like they got married in a mosque, do you know what I mean, kind of thing. He was from Africa, from Sierra Leone. So it is difficult. I think it's still that taboo. They haven't, I can't say all, because we've got an amazing black community that do support and are so like given, I guess, as such, with love and stuff like that. But there is a big part of the community that doesn't, and it's hard. And I found myself in situations before where I suppose you've got to choose, am I going to be more black or more gay at, say, an event or something? Because if I'm going to be trying to be all for my missus, like, I'm going to have people, like, give me facey looks or sniggering comments, that kind of thing. But then if I'm, like, pushing away the person I love just to be accepted by people I don't know just because of the same color. Like, is that conflict? And I think, like, this is a really, I don't know how this is going to go by me saying this, and I hope I don't get a backlash, but this is coming from a good place. However, like, it's hard being a mixed race person. So I have that stigma anyway for being half black, half white, you know, black enough, you know, white enough, blah, blah, blah. And then being gay. And then it's like black people want to be accepted and have equality so much. But at the same time, there's those black people then that don't want to accept gay people. So how can you ask for a right that you're not willing to give to everybody else?
Like a contradictory
type of
thing.
Do you know what I'm saying? So that is a really conflicting thing for me, I think, as a black gay woman, and a lot of black gay people would probably agree, you know? So yeah, it's a tough one. Some places around the world, do you know what I'm saying? Like right now I work under a UK Black Pride, and I'm on the community engagement team, and like we hear stories of in Ghana, LGBT is so bad right now, and the new president or whoever have just made another law now, so now it's completely illegal. So you can't even be yourself without getting sent to prison. Like,
mad, isn't it?
Do you know what I'm saying? And like we forget that we're so lucky to be in parts of the world where we can still be who we are, because in other parts it's illegal. Like, it's crazy, but it's still happening. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? And what we all must remember, when psychologists back in the 18th century decided that sex and homosexuality and hetero, back then, but who's to say if someone now, if that still wasn't a label on it, because before it got labelled, everyone equally went with the same sex because it wasn't labelled as something, you know?
Do you know what's so crazy, though? That 100 years ago, whatever, being black or gay was an illness. But like we just said then about, like, ADHD, there was no label.
Yeah,
there was no label.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You were just crazy.
Yeah.
You know, dyslexia in the 80s.
Yeah.
And, there's just something wrong with him, defects or whatever. And they branded the skin colour and, you know, your sexuality as an illness before other things,
before
which are
actual illnesses it's
Yeah.
crazy. And that was all through a society because of how people want. And unfortunately, it all comes from the Western society that gets pushed. That's how it went into religions. That's how it went into cultures and communities. But that's why if you go to certain parts of the world, in Africa, they all still do the same sex because to them, they haven't been westernized.
No.
So they don't understand that that's called something or that we just love who we love. And it's crazy, but I guess the society we live in and all we can do is try and push change, right?
Do you reckon it's getting better now as we're going?
I would say it obviously is way better in comparison to where we've gone from being illegal to legal over something so crazy. So yeah, I would like to say there's a lot more that needs to be done and being actively trying to make so much change, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do, right? Because I guess for any of us sitting at this table, we could all have a relative, your children, anyone, and that's something you can change.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to say to people. And if they ask me these questions, it's not something you choose. How you don't choose to fancy women if you're straight. Do you know what I'm saying? It's exactly that. It's no different. Yeah. It's just because we were told it's different.
There's
right?
a funny thing I like to. Which I've noticed as well is a big barrier maybe is religion. A lot of people say in religion you shouldn't be gay or same sex. It's very contradictory from people as well who are not even religious, but they have hate towards gays or lesbians, whatever. Anyway, and they'll use religion as an excuse, even though they're not religious 100%. Themselves.
It makes no sense.
It don't. It's you hear the classic. They made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, but they don't even go by the Bible anyway. Or
This
they're
is
not
what
even
I'm
religious.
saying.
It's like
100%, and that's what it is. And I think people that aren't brave enough to just say it with their chest. So I would have more respect for somebody if they just said, you know what, I just don't agree or I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And I have no reason for it. It's just I would prefer to shake someone's hand than someone, like you said, that's going to pull at straws and say, oh, because of this, and that's not even their own beliefs or their culture or their society. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that, like you said, it's always the contradictory thing. So it's a super tricky one, but I guess I just put myself around people that can be respectful. I respect people's religions. I wouldn't kiss someone. I wouldn't kiss my missus if my grandparents were there and start tonguing her, so I wouldn't do the same for respect.
You
know
what
I'm saying?
I find it mad. I do. Where does the hate come from? What is there to hate about that? Do you know what I mean?
Change.
So it's about the where does that hate come? Where do you reckon it comes from?
Well, it started from literally one man. He was a psychologist back in the 80s before sexology was a thing.
Okay.
So they used to do surveys around the world, and 72% of the world would always say they would go with the same sex. However, he wanted to label something and make something a thing because he was what's the opposite of a feminist if you're a man?
Masculine, yeah. Masculinity.
Do you know what I mean?
So toxic masculinity.
Yeah, he was all for male power and dominance.
That's a mad one.
So, and from that created vaginal impena. So that was how sex was portrayed. Do you know what I'm saying? So unless that was sex, and through that, there was 4 rules. So women had to desire men. Women had to, obviously there's certain things you can't say on here, but do you know what I'm saying, to make it a man's world. And if it wasn't seen like that, a woman was seen abnormal. So if she can't orgasm from a man, he wasn't taken into any other factors. It was because it was on his perception. But back in those days in the 18th century, you had white, male, working class men that were setting all these rules of today. So he named heterosexual, he named homosexual. That's all that was there that followed all through these years. Do you know what I'm saying?
He must have been quite a powerful guy then.
100%. And back then, there was no rules. So there was educated people to an extent.
Yeah.
But if you look now to educated people that would have done it.
Not fake news, but there's false narratives.
Yeah, 100%. Anyone with that kind of stuff, with obviously procreation, etc., all women and men, if we're looking in that kind of concept.
You've got to
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of course. And with anything, so say if you had a girlfriend and your sperm wasn't working, you're going to need to go to the same place I'm going to go to.
100%.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And if your women's eggs, not every woman can have children naturally.
Eggs.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways in that respect too. So that's a really interesting thing that you said to speak about, because that's really interesting.
Yeah,
100%.
But it's the hate that I get confused by, to be honest. It's not necessary.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with what you were saying too with the hate stuff is I'm the same as you. To me, I don't understand why it bothers another person who someone else is loving. Obviously, unless as long as you're not doing nothing wrong, you're not cheating with so-and-so's husband on the
still
sly.
love
Or,
humans for who they are. There's a respect to every human being.
You do get a stigma to it as well as well. I don't know. You know, you hear it all the time. Home wreckers, or you know, like people always like portray gays or something. Like, oh, they try. You hear, oh, he's gay, but he only sleeps with straight men.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, I think there's just all different fears of the unknown. You know, we're still breaking that barrier, like you said. It's only been the last decade, 2 decades of.
Well, it was still in the 60s. It was still illegal, so it was only the end of the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
James saying we could only get married in a church. I think that became like
it's in the thousands.
It was 2000s or something. Yeah, it wasn't not long ago at all.
No, exactly. Yeah. Is there anyone you used to look up to in like in the gay scene, or did you just watch yourself?
There's loads of people like. Because it's obviously we've always been around, so the same way as straight people, it's just because it wasn't a legal thing, it was like hidden, if you like, you know, same way like the black and whites mixing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you had like Marsha P, which is a really big person that stepped and walked for us back then, and you've got people like RuPaul. Do you know what I mean? Within our community, that are like people that have done like big boy shit, like James saying, out there, respected, out there, Elton John, there we go, James saying, legendary people, like, but
Queen.
then, James saying, there's so many people.
I think, have you seen
George
the documentary
Michael,
on him? That was
like,
amazing.
James saying, there's so many people, and I think that's what you see when you see people, it's just accepting everyone got differences, whether it's mental health, whether it's the colour of our skin, whether it's our religion, as long as we all have the same respect for each other, James saying.
Okay, so I'm trying to like bring it all together now because it's so fascinating, and I buzz off how much you wear everything on your sleeve.
Do you know what's interesting as well? Yeah, is how you go into the psychology and stuff like that. I find that interesting. You look into it, yeah.
So
you
I studied,
yeah, of course. Hence,
psychology,
mental health and stuff like that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, obviously, so you've got the lesbian side of it. That sounds terrible.
No, I know what
I mean.
Yeah, of course.
Your mental health as well. So you were saying just then that you were class crazy as a kid. So did you always know you had was you diagnosed at a young age? Like, when did you find out about bipolar?
So growing up, I was always struggling. How I said, so my mental health wasn't a thing. However, back then, because it wasn't out there, and my parents didn't recognise, let's call it that, or didn't want it, were in denial. I don't know if parents of that era was, like, you're the same age as me, you know what it's like back then. So it wasn't a thing, it was, I was spoiled, or, oh, you're being naughty because you can't get your own way, not realising, well, no, these are not like, I don't want to act this way, that kind of stuff. So growing up, it was the self-harm, not being able to cope and all that kind of stuff. But I think my dad not so much, because my dad was doing his thing or whatever, but my mum used to, I think, not want to take it personal thing. I think being a mother, and when your kids grow up, you do take it personal how they end up.
Denial.
Definitely.
There's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, and 100%. It's like she didn't want to admit it, or then it's like she felt that she failed because I wasn't normal or whatever. So I didn't, and then I feel like it was the first year of high school. So around the age of 11, I went and see my first psychiatrist, and I remember going there and speaking to someone, and they just didn't understand me. And not that, it comes down to a culture thing too. I can't sit there to a 50-year-old white man because you're not going to understand where I'm coming from. Vice versa, do you know what I'm saying? So back then too, and it was more like, if you're not like seeing things straight away, we don't really want to know. And they were like, they didn't really want to do much with me. So it was that back and forth battling with yourself, not understanding what is happening.
Where do you think the roots of, like, so you say that you know bipolar and ADHD, where do you think the roots of that stemmed from? Do you think it was your upbringing? Do you think it was how your parents raised you? Do you think, have you questioned that?
Okay.
Like, where's the roots of that come from?
So there's internal and external. So there's certain psychologists will push on the not to look back, and it's not your past and what society and your wider have done to you. And some would say it comes from within, like, are you born this way? Yeah. And I guess with having ADHD, that comes from a chemical imbalance in my brain. So that's something that I've always had, something that I've never been able to control. And back then, I think no one was talking about it. And
so with the chemical imbalances in the brain, does that affect like neural pathways and stuff like that in the brain?
Yeah, definitely. And it's a lot. It's a lot. It's everything neurological is affected, kind of thing. So less, because they call us neurodiverse. My concentration, however, through how I am. There's other things I think that I should be diagnosed with, however. Because
obviously you've got like adrenaline, dopamine, cortisol, all that sort of stuff. They're the imbalances there,
everything. And I'm not sure detail-wise exactly how it works, maybe.
It's interesting.
But there's a lot of things that come with it then. So like, I'm super clever, so my IQ's on 138.
Wow.
Like, do you know what I'm saying? I've got a lot of intense other side things. I get super addicted to stuff.
Sure, yeah.
I need new stuff.
That's mad. That's interesting.
I'm exactly the same, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like one extreme or the other kind of thing.
Yeah, like I'll go into something like a topic and then I'll just be addicted to it. I'll watch like 100 YouTube videos, I'll learn everything about it, then I'll start doing it and then I get bored and I do the next thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I can read as well. I can retain information. Like I have the same sort of thing. Yeah,
see, definitely. It's crazy, but that's what I'm saying. There's so many of us, like just being at this table, you can see. And if more people were speaking about it back then, we'd all be like, oh, we're all the same. We're not like, it's cool. It'd probably be more crazy, let's say, than normal out there.
100%, yeah. That's interesting.
It's almost like... you know, like, because research on the brain's obviously only just started to really develop because of MRI scans and sort of that sort of thing. So, you know, what you're saying about psychology, again, these things have only just been studied recently. So this is where people are opening up. This is where people are starting to understand from different perspectives. This is how I think. This is how I think on a daily basis. And I have a question for you. What do you think about the word mental health and how that's used? And do you think it's used too much in certain cases? What's your thoughts on that?
That's a really good question. I guess mental health is such a broad word. So what falls under there? You have mental illness, you have mental well-being. I guess it can go in so many ways. And I think it's being used, when I say too much, in the sense of it's like for capitalism now. So it's for making money. Whereas when I started talking mental health, it was to save myself, because I just tried to kill myself and save a lot of other people like myself. Whereas now I find it's what you can do. So self-help books, like everyone's trying to push a narrative out there, but to make money.
An answer to it as well. Everyone wants an answer to it.
Yeah, and mental health isn't an answer, it's a journey, right? There's no end. There's no end.
No graduation. I knew you were going to say
100%. There isn't.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? Because if that's the case, there would be no one in the world with mental health if you could just completely take it away, right?
Coco, I just heard you say, like, if you want to talk about it, I don't know, but you say you're going to, like, kill yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Can you talk about, like, why you wanted to do that?
Yeah, of course. No, definitely. So I guess TalktoCoco come from that. I had just divorced my ex-wife.
Wow. I didn't know you were married before that.
Yeah.
No, I know, news.
Yeah. So we just got divorced and we were going through, I guess, a transition.
Can I ask why you got divorced?
I would say out of respect for her, it was a long time coming. Let's just say something like that for both of us.
What the chemistry were in there. And
I was with her from when I was 16. She was 22. We had done 9 years together. Like we had good times, we had bad times, like any couple, I guess. But yeah, it was just one of those things that she was at, I think she was like 31 coming up. I was coming up 24. It was just that age gap was starting to show a difference.
Whereas like maturity, that sort of thing?
I think a bit of everything coming into it, the settling down or wanting to settle down. I was at a different life stage. Like now being nearly 30, I could never go out with a 25-year-old. So now at that age, I understand it. But obviously when you're the younger person back then, it's a bit different. So yeah, I guess I was just going through a transition in my life, not used to being by myself, living by myself. Just finding new daily routines and not having that stability around always. As much as it wasn't always healthy stability, it was toxic at times. I was just a bit all over the place, basically. And my mental health wasn't the best anyway. I just lost my job. I was working in Lloyd's Bank due to the breakup because I wasn't able to go in because of my mental health and they couldn't support that. So yeah, it was a lot of things, and one time was enough was enough, and I just started seeing my new girlfriend and stuff like that, and things were really good there, but it was like, because I wasn't dealing with things, I wasn't able to give her what she deserved 100%.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
At the time, looking back and reflecting on that, how would you have dealt with that situation differently? What would you do to like maybe improve that situation before it got out of hand? Or like what could you have done to maybe think differently?
So I guess that's a really good question. Thinking back to the time, I guess maybe speaking to people a bit more, because now how open I am, I wasn't like that then at all. Like even with my missus, who I'm still with now, I'm still with Lara now. But at that time, because I think I was scared of judgment and being seen a way I wanted to be seen a way, I didn't want her to maybe see me as weak or vulnerable, if you like.
Do you feel like you needed to find the right person to be able to talk to, like the right therapist, the right friend or something like that? Or?
No, because the friends I've got around me now, I've had since nursery. I've got an odd two, I'd say, that's joined along the way. But other than that, no. My support system is really good. It was a thing for, like, myself. I wasn't, as much as I come across as this really super confident person, I think it's only been a recent thing since getting with Lara now. And she brings that side out of me and lets me know that it's not a bad thing to express how I feel. She doesn't make me feel bad for my feelings. And that was something I had before. And I think that's so important with mental health. Your support system needs to be everything, because if the person you're going home to tonight don't understand your mind and can't, like, it's just not going to work.
That's so true.
So for me was that. And I think, trying to kill myself. I woke up to my mum giving me mouth to mouth and the ambulance is there. I was dead. I was dead on the floor. It was no lie.
God.
Yeah, so it was a deep moment. Only for like, I think, I don't know, actually I didn't even.
What did it feel like?
I don't know. I wasn't like alive. No, I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know. I woke up to my mum giving me mouth to mouth and the paramedics were there. And from that then, and being pushed into hospital and not being allowed to leave before you've seen a psychiatrist, and that was scary for me. That was
if
like,
you could go back to like, what were your thoughts and where was your mindset at that day where you know you were going to do that thing?
Do you know what? Because of how my mental health is, so I don't cope well with emotional things anyway, sort of crash and burn, if you like. So when I woke up that day, it was a normal day and I can be fine, and then it can just light switch like downhill fast.
Is that part of your bipolar, is it?
So they say that's a more of a emotionally instability side of things, but then they say also that comes under ADHD, of having hypermania and hyperlows too, extremely fast.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I don't think really they know themselves. Let's just say that. However, it wasn't like a mania I had. It wasn't an aggression or anything like that. I just felt sadness. That's the only way I could describe it. And when I felt it, it felt like grief. So it was like waking up and instantly it was just like, I don't want to be here. I can't be bothered doing this. Tablets, boom, that kind of thing. And I only got found, if you like, because I hadn't responded back to people in message. So people knew I'd been going
you had
through.
Your friends to worry about
you. Do you know what I'm saying? And it was one of those things. And one of my friends at the time had messaged my missus, and then my missus had rung my mum to say, like, no one had heard off myself like that morning. It wasn't like normal kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Normal behaviour. And that was my waking up. And then obviously going into the hospital, and from coming out of there, it was like, whoa, okay. Like, you've got people around you that really love you. You've got, like, life is there if you want it. And it just made me, I guess, deal with my own things. And from that, I had an amazing psychiatrist in that hospital, which sent me to the Hammersmith to be seen properly. And then from being sat with people that understood me. So my first doctor, Dr. Khan, he's not with us no more. Fabulous. He was really cool.
He died, is it?
No, he moved to Birmingham. Okay. So he's not like,
I thought I was all about to say
Dr. Khan.
No, but he was super cool. He was like a Sikh doctor. There was no like judgment. He was still, no matter that we had our differences, we both just connected, you know? And being seen by someone that understands you like that, can just take your personality, like not judge you. And it was really like overwhelming, but in a good way, because instantly he was like, right, you've got bipolar, you've got ADHD. He was like, is that all? He was like, are you all right? Like, and he just made that feel normal. Yeah. So it was like, oh, wicked. And I would be looking forward to go and see him. I'd be like, oh, yes, tidying his desk, because I'm a bit OCD like that, because he'd have messages.
He made you feel important.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, and that I mattered and that my feelings counted again. And yeah, and I think through that and having people around you that can build you up in that way, it like gives you the strength. And then from that, my Instagram, I went live one day, had a breakdown.
What year was this then?
18.
So it was quite recent.
Yeah.
So from there on, you've just literally excelled.
Yeah, definitely. 2017. 2017, I feel like.
How old are you?
The beginning of 2017.
That's how you remember, isn't it?
It's kind of similar with me. Like, I went to hospital, and this year is just...
See? Helped you, right?
Yeah, it's like that near-death experience.
You need to sometimes that wake-up call.
That was my rock bottom, you know, and
that took you to a place of now where you are succeeding, doing your dreams kind of thing, you know, and helping people like yourself.
What was your thoughts like? Because you've just been through a near-death experience, and the same as you. What are your thoughts when you come out of that situation? Do you feel like... How does it make you see the world? Do you see the world in a completely different way after you just like almost died? Sorry, after you've almost died?
So yeah, you do. You definitely do. But I think for mine was when I got diagnosed with my brain tumor. That was,
Let's get on to this then, innit?
That was my more wake-up call, different perspective in that.
So what was the first one then? Was it more of just like, I'm just going to live my life now?
Yes, and accept me. So I don't mind if I'm crazy, call me crazy. Yeah. And my mum and dad too, I had a better response from my family. So my first appointment, my nan came with me and she sat and she cried the whole appointment because she was like, I didn't ever understand this is how you were feeling your whole life. Wow. And so it was like nice for them to start understanding, definitely. And then from that, having the diagnosis, if you like, my mum and dad then was like, oh, okay, cool. They accept him. Like I said, my uncle's schizophrenic and my mum's brother. So it's in the family. Let's not ignore it. It's there. Like, and it was better for me in that respect from that first episode.
So from then the brain tumor.
Yeah.
How was that? If the doctor said there was a reason behind that, like, did you collapse?
So I've been going back and forth to hospital for about 6 years. Not from now, from the time. So I got diagnosed 3 years ago. So so whenever that was. From about 6 years, in and out, same symptoms, extremely bad pains, like excessive throwing up, like The Exorcist.
In the head?
Pain in the head, pain in the back, pain in the stomach, all the time. It was exactly the same. Alcohol, certain foods, etc., etc. Certain things would set it off if I was stressed, but at the time, no one was looking at certain things. If I travel, like abroad, flying, different things, that was that. They took my appendix out, told me it was my appendix. It was still happening, A year later then, my missus, she's from Bath. Got a posh girl, guys. No, I'm joking.
That's mad. My ex is from Midsummer Norton. It's just outside
Bath. So we were up there and I was ill. I just proposed to Lara. So we had just come home from Paris and I got ill literally the day we come home. So I got to go to a hospital up there. Doctors in England way better than Wales. Not in a nasty way to Wales, but way better.
Get it sorted.
Yeah, basically. And they were like that on it. I had a CT, an MRI, I had all these different scans. That was that great. So then they said people wasn't allowed to come in. So then I got sent to Wales. Then I got transferred down here. So then that was fine. My missus could be with me, blah, blah, blah. And then when I was there, so they didn't know for the first 3 days what was wrong with me. They just controlled my sickness because I like excessively being sick. It doesn't stop. And then it was my 4th or 5th day in hospital. And I'll never forget it. And because of how I am mentally, I wasn't coping very well, being in there, not knowing why I'm still in here, but everyone telling me you can't leave. I was getting super down. And then there was one time, I'll never forget, the doctor came and told me by myself. I don't know why she told me when I was by myself, but she just said to me, we can't let you leave. There's something wrong with your brain. And I said, what do you mean there's something wrong with my brain?
You must have been on edge.
So you can imagine with how I am, and like, I just went crazy. Like, and when I mean crazy, I burst out crying, but not like crying, like as if someone told me my whole family had died, like excessively crying. Like I was like, I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna throw myself off the top of the building, like I need to go, like what's wrong? And she was like, we need to do like 2 more scans to like make sure, but we can't let you go. Like she said, it's under our ethics to let you leave. So then the one nurse rang my mum, like to say, rang my missus. So my missus come straight up from work, thank God. They had to like put me on diazepam.
Diazepam.
Yeah, put me on those to relax me.
What are they? They're like obviously
the sedatives.
Valium. Yeah. So they basically relax you. I was gonna say, obviously, I being in a hospital as an addict and with OCD, ADHD, I couldn't sit still. So did that play a big part as well with you giving you the diazepam to chill you? You probably just wanted to get out of there.
Oh, I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to throw myself off the top of the building, like anything to get out. And that's what they had to do. They had to give me that to relax me. But then, like you said, your brain's still going as much as your body's chilled, isn't it?
And this is what's important about people who go to hospital and they think, everything's fine. This happened to, God rest his soul, someone, I won't name any names, but he left hospital thinking everything was fine and died the next day. And if there's people out there who think, you know, you can handle it, I'm telling you, if they say stay in a hospital, don't check yourself out, because many people do, and you're obviously very lucky that you never as well.
100%. And from her telling that, and she was a lovely little old lady, little black lady come over, and she was like, oh, we can't, like, I know you're scared. And it was nice, like, I think for her, she like brought me down again, like James saying, and it was just letting me know it was going to be okay, because I think that's what it was. It was shock and like being frightened, just hitting. And I had to apologise to the young girl opposite me, because she probably thought, oh my God, who's the psychopath? Like James saying, just go mad. So it was nice then. And then from that, then I had scans. They told me there's a tumour in your brain. We need to have a look to see if it's cancerous or not and what else is causing. I had to have loads of blood tests. So I was in hospital, and it was Christmas. It was just before Christmas. It was December. So I got released the day before Christmas Eve, because I had to. There was no way I was staying in there. I would have done a runner otherwise, I'm telling you, when everyone was sleeping.
So they agreed with you eventually?
Yeah,
they kind of
I had to. Yeah, I had to get
nice.
medication-wise, because I was on everything with drips, so all the like stuff I was on, so I had to go down to tablet form then. So with that, they found out I've got a rare disease that affects 1 in 100,000 people called an adrenal insufficiency. So like you all create adrenaline, my body don't create adrenaline naturally. Really? So I have no fight or flight, if you like. So I take medication for that. So like flying, I get extremely ill because your body, like if someone dies, body goes ill. I just go into hospital. I've got my body shuts down. I go into shakes.
That makes sense, really. So when you stress out,
I get ill.
That's mad.
Every time I got to carry a steroid card with me,
that's
so I can just collapse. And if I don't have enough in my body because I'm steroid dependent, I can die from that. That's life-threatening. So yeah, it's a lot. It affects a lot in my life, kind of thing. You know, if I have an operation, if I go to the dentist, I must double my dose because I've got no adrenaline.
You're still taking medication then?
Yeah, I got to take it for the rest of my life.
You really are a 1 in a million, aren't you, when it comes to character and illness as well.
So it's mad. You look so good as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, my body doesn't feel it, but thank you.
Fresh as well. Outfit's always on point as well.
I've got to keep up with what I can, I guess.
That's so inspiring, to be honest. Like, I never knew. Like, I didn't. Like, I've met you a couple of times. We've interacted. But I had no idea. Like,
it's crazy. A lot of people don't. Like, I've just come out of hospital. I just had meningitis too, by the way.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So yeah, but like. Even that, like, in itself. So when I come from being let out at Christmas, the time with my brain tumor, adrenal insufficiency, that was like my wake-up call, if you like, to life. Like
you said,
yeah. And I did. Everyone would have seen it. That's how, like, I sat there and I cried to strangers on Instagram, like, literally. It sounds so tragic saying it out loud, but I did. And the response I had from it was so warm and just heart feeling. It was so nice. So, and so many people around the world be like, oh my God, like, oh, I suffer with this. And then talking about mental health from that, and then just being open. And from that day, it was the day that I told me I was always going to be honest with myself and everybody else. No more like faking it. If I don't want to smile today, I'm not going to. Like I'm saying, just being honest and transparent. And like I find honesty is the best policy. You know, parents always tell us that growing 100%. Up, and you're like, never start. It so is. It really is. It's what I stand by.
So this was like. The brain tumor was like a year.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, was it?
Yeah.
So you've done. It seems like you've done so much since then. Mm-hmm. Can you name a couple of things like you're doing now, or some things you've been successful with?
Yeah, sure. So I've been really lucky in, I guess, speaking on mental health and becoming a mental health activist, and I guess wanting to make change for so many of us that do suffer, and taking all those stigmas away and giving everyone and like all the younger generation, if you like to see people like ourselves, to see that it's okay to suffer, and do you know what I mean, dealing with your things. So through that, I do creative writing, I do poetry, so I do regular workshops with people that suffer with ADHD. So we do creative writing, as we all know, if any of you suffer with ADHD at this table, to concentrate, to articulate yourself is one of the hardest things. Yeah. So that's a really cool thing. We do that regular. I've worked with Wagamamas on wellbeing projects, so that's really cool. I do partnerships. Crocs have given us some stuff, so that's cool.
Crocs.
Love my Crocs.
Love
Crocs.
Yeah, Girls Talk is a really big publication, started in America and is now worldwide.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, wrote some stuff for them. UN Women, so they fight for women's rights around the world, wrote for them. I've been into art galleries with some of my poetry. So I try and now take, I guess, all the pain that I felt and we've all felt around this table to my creative writing and my poetry. So I talk about things that are uncomfortable. I talk about things that are real life, but it's a way to like flourish and still be creative, I guess, for myself. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. When you were at your lowest point and like you were really in like a really bad place, what would you have done differently in that situation to really like help yourself out of that situation? And how would you advise people out of that situation? Because, you know, I think I said on the first podcast before, like, you know, like you said as well, like well-being, diet, all these sort of things are so important. Like, what would be like TalktoCoco's like advice for like people who are going through the worst, lowest places, because you've been through so much?
Yeah, sure. I guess my first pointer would always tell people not to be hard on yourself. Like, stop trying to control things you can't control. Our mind, we can't control to an extent, yes, but when you're going through these things, and if you've been put into a situation that's making you feel a way, don't feel bad for feeling that. Every feeling is temporary, whether that's good or it's bad. So if it's bad and it's negative, it's not going to last forever. And I think if you keep that at the back of your mind, that is extremely important. And that applies from young people to old people. And I tell my grandma this a lot because she suffers with anxiety as she's getting older and less able. So I think that's super important. Second one is always be a bit selfish. And when I mean selfish, I don't mean like be a horrible person, but be selfish and considerate for yourself. So it's okay to tell your friends, no, if you don't want to do something today. It's okay to, if you can't go into work today, like put yourself first in your mental health, because I think this society pushes fame and pushes money and buying a house and all this by the time we're 30, etc., etc. It's so much pressures of the world. It's like we can't manage all these things and our own mental health. So just like take it easy, I guess. And like if you want to go out today and spend all your savings on clothes, go and do it. Like, why are you saving for a house? Because your mum's told you to, or because society's told you that's the way of life. Like, I'm so one for doing for themselves. My third one would be your support. Have the people around you that understand your mind, your body, your soul. It's as cliche as that is, it's so true. You need those people around you. And like my psychiatrist told me in the past, even if it's family. So if there was stuff I was going through at the time with my mum and dad when they were going through their things, I had to take a step back. And that was nothing to do with them or like our personal relationship, if you like. But right now, it's not good for me. If friends, if you're not giving me that energy and stuff like that, I can't be around you. And I'm not a bad person for doing that. And this world, we get made to feel bad for thinking of yourself. So
true.
It's true.
That is so
like,
true.
And you can't, and if they're your friends or if they're your family or people that just are down for you, they would understand. Do you know what I'm saying?
If they love you, they
get it. Like, all my friends around me know me. Like, if I'm on one and I've been a bit feisty in a text message, like, oh, Sherelle's off. Like, that's fine. Like, she'll message later. And I'm one of those, I'm like, all for my heart. Like, I'm 100% with everything, and I'm a big lover in that respect. So like, if I feel bad for something, believe me, I will be sorry. I'll be on your case. If anything, you'll be like, chill, it's fine, you know.
Would you say you're quite self-aware then of like as you've got older and you've dealt with mental health, you become more self-aware of like when you're going to that point, and then you know, like you'll go into a room and your close people, you'll tell them like, this is how I'm feeling today, just to let you know. Like, give me an hour or two, I might chill out.
And that's a really good point you just made. Like, communication is key. So that was one thing that I struggled with. And like, thinking, like you asked earlier about my past relationship, that was one of my struggles now as an adult that I see. Like, so maybe if I communicated better as well, certain things might have not gone away, etc., etc. And even things in my adult life, friendships, stuff like that. Like, if I've done people wrong, I'm not scared to hold my hands up and take accountability, because that's how you move forward in life. And there is probably ways that I could have dealt with stuff. And like, friendships that, say if I had fallen out with some, there's people that I've contacted since being an adult that I've said, like, I'm sorry for how I acted back then. Like, me now standing here would never have done that. Like, and I'm willing to take that. Do you know what I'm saying? You've got to do that shit.
It's mad that you say that though, because do you know what? Like, I know this is kind of on the same subject, but I remember, right? This is mad as well. Friend of my, one of my friends in school who were like, I knew and that, he would go, but like, I remember as he got older, like recently he turned around to me and goes, oh, do you know what I did today, bro? I went, I was like, recently I've seen loads of people that I used to bully in school. And he said, I went up to him and actually said to them, do you know what? I want to say I'm so sorry for how I treated you in school, because as I've grown up, like, I've realised that the way I treated you was disgusting. Like, I'm so sorry for how I treated you. And I think that takes such heart to be able to do that. I actually say, congratulations, bro.
It's like on Billy Madison when he goes in and he goes, no worries. And then he turns the X off and then people to kill. No, I'm joking. That was fun. Just a bit funny, that was. Like, you're bang on what you're saying. Like,
I just thought that took real heart. And like that was such a sense of maturity to say, do you know what? Like, the way I acted in that situation was disgusting. And I, like you saying, really just like, you know, being able to go back, think, and just like check yourself.
And it's growth, and in any growth, and like, not that I make excuses for why I acted those way. Like, I was going through a shitload of stuff. So in that respect, certain things made me act out, if you like. However, this mentality I've got, I wouldn't.
Do you think that it's better to address, say you feel like you've got mental health, do you feel like it's better for you to address the whole situation with yourself before you get into a relationship with somebody then? Or
1,000,000%, because
would you recommend
like
that more?
Who I'm with now, if I tell her how I was in my past relationship, she always says to me, I can't even imagine you being that person, because she's never seen or experienced that side of me, because she's so good for me, and not just saying like just because of that, but where I am too mentally and how I deal with things, how I express myself, how I communicate, I'm able to give her all of me, but all the best sides of me. So don't get me wrong, we'll have bickers, but like, our relationship is near enough 10-10 perfect, and I can't deny that.
Whoa.
But
you sure about that?
I am positive. Like, it's so nice. I always say it's so nice to be able to have my phone there, not be paranoid. Like, do you know, like, it's
these are big things when you're saying
it's real life, and so many people, like, we've all been there and been doing the sly stuff, and you've got to turn your phone off. Like, it's my first relationship in my whole life, and it's going to be my last, where like, my phone is there, there's nothing, there's no passwords, there's like, and I love her with all, like, everything.
No, I can't even believe you've brought that up. Do you know why that's so important, right? Because there was a book I was reading about resentment, and in a relationship, as you grow together, you need to communicate everything, because if you don't, you're going to build up that resentment. And that's what's happened in COVID. The amount of couples that have divorced in COVID.
I'm saying.
Like, it's been mad. Like, somebody close to me, right? He divorced his wife and then killed himself.
See, wow. So sad.
Like, and he was one of my first ever clients that came to me for a haircut. And like, you know, and I was with him 3 weeks before he done it as well, and you would never even know that that there was anything wrong. He was deep, because he was always a deep guy, but like, I just thought that was so, like, what you're saying is like so true, just communication.
It's true.
Like, it builds up over time, and that's when things explode. Like.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I think you've got to have that, like, with whoever you spend your time with, whether that be a flatmate, you need to have someone that's there that can connect with you mentally, like, on another level. Do you know what I'm saying? 100%, that's really important.
Let's talk about the COVID situation then, because obviously you've been on a bit of a roll before COVID. Yeah. I thought you was married. Yeah. What's happening there then?
So we were supposed to get married last year, November. But obviously, due to COVID, we cancelled that. We're not getting married here. Obviously, like I said, Lara's from Bath, so we're getting married in England, not far from where she's from.
Nice.
So we just moved it to next year, just to be on the safe side, just to be able to enjoy it. We want to have a day that's for us and not have to change it because of COVID.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone there in a mask. Like, that's not the kind of wedding I'm trying to have. So that's exciting. It's all positive. It's all for the right reasons. And like, I always said my last marriage, I'd never get married again. I was 100% sure for that.
Never
However, exactly this time I met someone, didn't expect to meet them, extremely happy, and can go in like, and know I'm doing it for the right reasons this time.
Are you two the same? Are you similar age as them?
Yeah,
obviously?
Lara's only 11 months older than me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so she's 30 this year. I'm 29.
How did you meet?
Oh, this is funny. So, a mutual friend. Do you might know him? Do you know Ruel?
Yeah.
I don't know him personally, but I know
Yeah. So he was
performing.
It's always
a mutual friend.
Yeah. So he was performing in, like, it's so funny, like a little social club off Albany Road, like those neck of the woods, but I didn't know, obviously. Yes, it was like one of those places up there. Yeah, there was like old black people there, like a little dance kind of thing. It was cool. But like Lara and her best friend was going out with Ruel. So like they were there together, and then I was going there with like as his friend kind of thing with other friends, and my cousin was friends with the girls too. So like we went there not knowing each other, and like we sat opposite each other. Really awkward, to be fair. It's funny. We say it's like fairy tale. We sat there. She was opposite me, and it was one of those ones. And you know when you fancy someone you know, and you don't want to look at the girl in the eye, so it's like.
What, you was nervous?
I was shitting myself. I know we're not supposed to swear, but literally I was so nervous. I've never like had this feeling. It was really weird. And then that was that. Nothing was off. We all went out, went to Glam after, the Glam days. That's how long ago it was. And it was like that. We just really got on. Found out she was bisexual.
He was right in there.
That's how it got like dropped to me subtly in this. I was like, is this a sign? Like she's trying to tell me something. Added on Snapchat. I just obviously come out of a marriage. I was like, single. And we were messaging. We were literally messaging like that on Snapchat. And then we were all going out as like a collective, all the girls together. It was like that. And then one night, Lara's best friend Georgia was like, why didn't you like stay over Lara's house tonight? Like one of those. And I was like, I got all red and all embarrassed. Like, and I was like, I'm not asking her, you ask her. It was like being in high school again, thinking about it. And then she asked, I stayed over there, nothing happened, guys, not like that. And she's a super respectable woman. So it was one of those ones, and I remember laying in the bed all night, like stiff as a board, like it was a movie, too scared to move, like,
tickle my knee.
Yeah, literally petrified. And then it was like one of those ones we just really connected. It was someone that I guess it connected so much mentally that everything else just like flowed. It was really weird. And she come from a complete opposite background to me, like posh, rich, white, from Bath, ghetto, black, Grangetown, Yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
They say opposites attract, though, don't
opposites attract, and we're so alike, and we have the same banter. And it just literally flourished from there. 4 weeks later, I got a kiss finally, and then the rest is history, basically.
Her family okay?
Her family's amazing. My family and her family get on like a house on fire. So
sealed.
Yeah, it's perfect. It is literally a little fairy tale in itself. Yeah.
So, with what you do, she all supportive as well?
Yeah, amazing, supportive. Like, it's not even a thing, and that's what's nice, is just to have someone that understands your journey. And like you were saying, with COVID and being kept together for like, it was near enough a year we all had off. Yeah. No one could do nothing, right? So it was one of those ones at the beginning, and we had that chat, I wonder what we're going to be like. And we're so grateful for COVID. We loved it. Like being spent together every day, locked up. We had the best time. I can't complain.
One thing I want to touch over, because we are running soon, but one thing I do want to mention, because we haven't really brought it to our attention on any of our episodes, being mixed heritage, being mixed race from Cardiff, what do you think of the current climate, especially over lockdown with like the George Floyd stuff? What is your opinion on the way things are at the moment, and how would you like things to plan out in the future? Yeah,
so I guess being from Wales, predominantly white place, it's difficult when stuff like that happens, as it happens all the time around the world. But with something like that and how big I guess it was being brought here, it was really empowering to see. And it's funny, it was a year ago today that we all marched for George Floyd over Butte Park. It was exactly come up on Snapchat like that, yeah. And to see so many people of all colours and ethnicities was really nice, being in a white place, do you know what I'm saying?
Do you think Wales is racist?
Wales is definitely racist. Yeah? Yeah, 100%.
I don't see, I can't see it because I'm white. But, of course. You know, I like to think Cardiff's very a multicultural place.
It is multicultural because we live here.
Yeah, it's...
But it's so systematic, so we were doing...
Under the wrap sort of thing.
It is, but it's out there too.
I think the question maybe you meant was... Wales is racist, but how racist do you think it is compared to other places that you've been to?
Okay.
And the cultures.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, that was probably more the question.
Okay, so I guess it was good when we were at Jukebox, we were talking about this the other day. So our infrastructure, if I've said the right word correctly, is based on racism. It's based on white people. So our society isn't created for black people, so there's not one thing you can all name here right now. There's something for black culture here, whether that be an activity, whether that be our history in our schools, whether that be a club. Like, do you know what I'm saying? There's nothing.
Yeah, I think the only thing that comes close is that deserves recognition, in my opinion, massively, is Jukebox.
Exactly, Liara.
Shout out to Liara, because
and before her, it was her dad, Free J, and that's what we were saying. That was the only thing then.
I watched a thing on
Black and Welsh.
That I've seen that. That was amazing. But it was about rugby. My brother played rugby league up north, and what they were saying in the 70s, 80s, Billy Boston, people like that. These black players, they didn't choose them to play rugby union because of their colour, and they're like cult heroes up in North England, embraced, and it's such a shame because the talent they had
wasted.
It's I would love to have seen him in a union shirt. I wouldn't have been alive,
but still now
it was so interesting to see.
Exactly.
I'm proud of the culture we got here. So proud, and it's just
it can always be better. But
it can always be better.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when you speak to people from England and they come across black people in Wales sometimes. They're like, "What? You're from Wales?"
They're shocked. That's what I'm saying. Like, wow, there's black people there. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what it is. There's not enough. There's no black culture here unless we create it ourselves. Like, you go down the docks where we all originated, if you like. And it's still so that community sense and that community feel, and then you budge out. You've got Grangetown, Riverside. You get me?
Kitays,
to an extent. And then everywhere's like dribs and drabs, if you like. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think it is, and I think as long as you still walk around a place and you're still gonna have the white lady that's gonna move away from you, sat next to you on a bus, or grab a bag in the street, like it's racism here. Like James said, it's crazy. It's like, look at the killing of the boy in Birmingham, 14. Killed by what? One of the men was 38 and the rest got dropped or something.
Disgusting.
True, even if you look at what happened to,
Mahmood.
That was here. We all protested for that.
It's sad.
There's a little black boy up in Mountain Ash, Christopher. I can't think
the one in the river?
And that, have we seen that on the news?
No.
Have you seen that anywhere? Nowhere, because it doesn't matter. Do you get me? Because to this society down here, unfortunately, and it's more, if you go to England, there's way more black people.
100%.
Do you get what I'm saying? So you can build that better, I don't know what the word I'm using for, but do you know what I mean? Like, make a stand kind of thing.
The thing which really wound me up is that there's Mahmood posters on bus stops in London, but none in the city of Cardiff.
That's mad.
What are they trying to do there? Hide it?
That's what I'm saying.
It's disgusting.
It's like
so
ticking
bad.
Boxes. Of course it is. 100%. It's crazy, and I think that's the thing with black people. Like, everywhere, no matter where we are in the world, there's always going to be a society and a government that's against us. It's not built for us. Do you know what I mean? And that's never going to be broken down and starting again, because there'll always be those kinds of people in power, and it's sad, but all you can do is make a change, I guess, a bit down the fence to the people that are still willing
what the
to
government
make a
need to be doing is they need to be going to the BAME community, and they need to be basically saying, we want you to come into our we need to come to you and hear your conversations. 100%. And also you need to have the BAME community go to their places where they are and like, do you know what I mean? There needs
intervention.
To be without a doubt.
But that would never be like, look at the thing that just come out with the Queen.
Class it as.
It should be encouraged every.
Do you get me?
Mad,
black people can't be clerical or whatever it's called, working at offices, but you can be the cleaners.
That's disgusting.
And people said the Queen ain't racist.
Every single corporation, every single government needs to, like you exactly what you say, intervention. And like you're dealing with that firsthand, and exactly.
Of course, it's hard, and being with like. A girlfriend and family, her family, like they all got money, they all got really good jobs, like higher than middle class, wherever you put. They are like they got like 1.7 million pound houses and stuff. But coming from that, it was really good because I had conversations with my missus's mum. To be like, I didn't realise this, and it's that. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's mad to be in a society that don't even realise that that's happening.
Is it like they're arrogant, or are they literally that, like...
Well, I think you get a mix of both,
How can you have so much money for being clever, but not know...
Because you're not... Because that's the white privilege that comes with it. So if you're not put around it, do you know what I'm saying? Whereas a white boy like you that might be brought up down here and had black friends, and you might see a different side. Do you get what I'm saying?
Do you know what's mad, right, In school, in primary school, how many times did you actually go to a mosque, or how many times did you actually go to, different places and experience different cultures? But, okay, in primary school you might have, but how many times did we do it in secondary school, bro?
None.
You don't.
You don't even do it.
We're lucky Cantonium.
That's different, isn't it?
You had the time probably to do that.
So Cantonium was very multicultural.
Course,
do you know one thing I do love to see though? The Welsh schools, the high schools. I see quite a lot of mixed race and other ethnic origins in the Welsh schools, and I love that. Shout out to Gavin as well for what he's doing.
We're talking Gavin.
The Welsh, I love that.
Amazing, It's good to see cultures and everybody just needs to come together and speak.
And not that
be
it's
open.
changing what's what's Welsh, because like you said, if you ask anyone what's Welsh, they would say a white person. Do you get what I'm saying? Literally, like, do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, they can be black Welsh people.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like a shock. My first ever concert, I was 7 with my nan.
Exactly.
Went to see her,
Can you sing us a song?
No, I'm definitely not.
So, what's the future hold for TalktoCoco?
The future holds more happy faces, more saved lives. I just want to be happy, man. I'm blessed. Just to keep pushing this message, and like, as long as I say little people like me can grow up happy and not have the same problems I did, like, I've done what I set out to do. Like, I didn't even expect to be where I am from being honest, but if being honest gets you where you are, happy days, yeah.
Exactly.
Start doing the lottery.
Okay, anything you want to say, boys?
Do you know what? I just want to say before we do those, pleasure. I mean, so inspired by your story. It's unique. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know,
you're a breath of fresh air.
Breath of fresh air. It's been a pleasure.
As cliche as it is.
Literally. Thank you, guys.
To be fair, like, your story is mad. Like, anyone else would just, do you know what I mean? But you're like a warrior.
Thank you. I love
you.
Yeah.
5'1".
Don't forget the extra.
Fair play to you.
Okay, so before we go quickly, I just want to answer these little questions.
Yeah.
They're light-hearted. They're just what you rather questions.
Yeah, okay, wicked.
So, what would you rather in your social? So, do you prefer poetry or blogging?
Poetry.
Okay, if you had to go away, would you rather a festival weekend or a city break?
Ooh, a city break.
Okay. Fashion or tattoos?
Oh my God. So either be naked and fully inked, or no tattoos and fully clothed. Oh, well, I feel that I would go with tattoos.
Okay. Wow. Interesting, because you love your fashion, don't you?
Yeah,
You're looking fresh.
I do. I love my clothes. It's one of my little hobbies.
Yeah,
I love it.
X or Luther? Who was more inspirational to you? Martin Luther King.
Malcolm X. Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, you meant?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Wait, let me do that again.
Do that again.
Ready? Malcolm X or Martin Luther King?
Okay, so this is a super hard one because they're both fighting the same cause, but let's say slightly different ways of doing it. I go Malcolm X because of my personality. Yeah, that'd be me. I'd be in their guns blazing.
Yeah, more raw.
Yeah.
I love Malcolm X. Amazing book. His autobiography is amazing as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and these are just some light-hearted ones we ask everyone. You a mild or a spice?
Spice, obviously.
If you could explore one, deep sea or deep space?
Space.
Why?
Because I've been deep sea dive and I hate the water.
Okay. Who would you rather see your browse history? Your parents or your missus?
My missus.
You said you're sitting on the table anyway, didn't you? Okay, and we asked this to everyone. If you had 2 superpowers, one to benefit people, one for yourself, what would they be?
Ooh, they're good. Okay, so the one for myself would be, I'd like to go invisible. Yeah?
Why?
Because, I don't know if I could say this out loud. Well, there's a few reasons why.
We can just leave that to the imagination.
Yeah, let's put it out there, guys. And the second one for people would be to read people's minds, because I'd like, for the people that didn't have the courage maybe to be honest about their mental health, I could help them without them realising.
That's the best one we've had so far.
Yeah, amazing.
That's the best one. Do you know what? It's been so nice. It's been educational. Like, I'm going to say it again. It's been a breath of fresh air.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It's for the first woman to come on. I hope other people will have the
set
courage
a
to come on.
very, very high standard.
That's fine.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's fine. Thank you so much.
Person.
I'm telling you.
It's 5'1" and a beanie.
5'1" and a beanie. I'm telling you. Yeah, definitely. But no, thank you all so much.
I want to just shake your hand.
Yeah.
Thank you, my darling.
Thank you.
Honestly,
Can you reach
smashed it. Thank you.
No.
Okay. That was nice. Okay, so
5'1" of you.
thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
The Central Club.